So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you.
We're now 5 weeks into our 12-week trip, so decided it'd be a good time to do a review of how things are going, the good, the bad and the budget. So that's what this shorter video is due to do, so I hope you enjoy it and get some useful pointers and probably a bit of a laugh at our expense as well. So here goes. Let's get cracking straight away then with the good, and one of the highlights was Wat Praknam, which was a temple we hadn't visited before in Bangkok. Now, we've been to a lot of temples, but this one really was worth a visit, so certainly put it on your list if you're ever in Bangkok. Next up, we have the Ya Yi homestay in Nam Tok, just north of Kanchanaburi at the end of the Death Railway line. This was the best place we've stayed so far. Lovely local place, lovely feel, ever so friendly, couldn't do enough for you. So again, if you're going up this way, you've got to stay in this homestay. While we were staying at the homestay, we also visited Hellfire Pass, which had a great audio guide and was a real eye-opener and really interesting trek through both the pass and along the line of the railway. Next up, we have the beautiful city of Luang Prabang, and I've snuck 2 for the price of 1 here, with sunset drinks on the banks of the River Mekong, and also eating in the night market, which we did every time we were in Luang Prabang, and particularly the duck with rice from the stall shown, which was absolutely stunning. Also from Luang Prabang, we have the Tat Se waterfall. This was our favourite of the 2 big waterfalls we went to there, and as you can see, we had it virtually to ourselves after a sweaty trek up to the top. And talking of sweaty treks, the next highlight was the Van Vieng viewpoints. We went to the one with a motorbike on top just after a rainstorm, so it was slippy and treacherous, but by the time you get to the top, these stunning views make it well worth the effort. On a more sober note, our final highlight was the Coke Museum in Vientiane. This really brought home to us the devastation caused by the Secret War, both at the time and since, with the number of unexploded bombs left in the country. So there you go, that's our key highlights so far. Could have put in a lot more, but I was told I had to keep it to a reasonable number, so just 7 for now. All of these are featured in our earlier videos. If you want to find out more about them, go back and have a look at those, and subscribe while you're there. Thanks. Moving on to the bad.
In no particular order. The first one we've got is the hotels in southern Laos. Van Vieng and Vientiane hotels were not great. Booking.com did not show them how they were supposed to be. They were a big disappointment. So, not great.
And the next one was leeches. I normally love all the wildlife we see while we're away, but not when it's sucking blood out of my leg and I'm losing, as Hitchcock would say, half a leg's worth, with about 15 leeches attached to me as I climb up a mountain. So leeches, definitely not my favourite animal.
You're a wuss.
I lost a lot of blood though. Our biggest panic of the trip so far has been when one of the water bottles leaked in the rucksack and our Mac was in there as well, and got very wet. Didn't realise there was anything wrong initially, but when we went to plug it in, it wouldn't charge. It would still turn on, and then it developed a very odd wet looking patch in the bottom left of the screen and still wouldn't charge, and it probably took about 2.5 days to dry out, and the screen probably took another 3 or 4 days till it was fully functional. So fingers crossed, everything's working fine with it now, so hopefully that'll be okay, but I must remember to back everything up just in case it goes horribly wrong.
And it was my fault because I hadn't screwed the water bottle tight enough. It wasn't the water bottle's fault, it was my fault.
I wasn't going to blame you, but...
The next one we had was we got sick. Well, Callum got sick and then gave it to me, which is the usual way of these things, but 3 days in, to our time in Bangkok when we first arrived, he got very poorly, and that really took us out for a whole 2-3 days, really, till we recovered. So lots of Imodium. Always come well stocked with Imodium. But we're okay now, so it's all good.
And what was the drink at the station? Man juice.
Man juice.
There was a drink called man juice, and I think that did the cure. Like an energy drink, Thai energy drink, and that seemed to do the trick. Finally, Laos roads. We've been on some dodgy roads in Thailand and elsewhere around the world, South America, but the Laos roads are probably the worst we've encountered so far. Some of the roads were more pothole than road, and you're trying to go around livestock, other mopeds, people coming down the wrong side of the road, as well as all the potholes. And it's the closest we've ever come to coming off a moped. Touch wood, we've never actually had an accident in one, but that was the closest we came, as we hit a big pothole because we just couldn't get out of the way of it in time because of traffic coming the other way. So has made us really slow down on the moped.
Yeah, and 40 is plenty fast enough.
50 km/h used to be my limit. Now if I go above 40, I get the fingers in the shoulder telling me to slow down. But no, we've spoken to a few people who've come off bikes as well here. So if you are going to use a moped, which we have done, then just be really careful and make sure you're comfortable with it. Here we go then, the budget. Did we get our budgeting right, or are we massively over? Well, our plan before we came away was to not exceed £10,000 for the 12 weeks that we're away, and that's all in flights, visas, insurance, as well as all the costs while we're over here. So, how are we getting on? You can see the first category was flights, which includes the 2 return flights, London Heathrow to Bangkok, which actually cost us a bit more than they needed to because we went for flexible tickets, which added about £160 onto the price. Did this deliberately just because we weren't sure exactly when we wanted to be back in the UK, and it gave us a bit of flexibility if we did need to return for any reason. Then also included our flights from Bangkok to Luang Prabang and Vientiane to Phnom Penh, so it's got 3 sets of flights in there. I have proportioned those over each day, so hence why it will be spread over the whole holiday. Second category was accommodation. We budgeted £30 a night for accommodation. At the moment we're averaging £27 a night, so that's pretty much of a muchness in terms of what we budgeted for. You've then got transport. This is trains, tuk-tuks, mopeds, fuel for the mopeds, which again probably about where we expected it to be. One thing we have really benefited from is using the apps for getting tuk-tuks or taxis, which we'll come on to in the top tips. Fees and charges, that includes visas, ATM charges, travel insurance and the VPN we're using. So again, that's pretty much where we thought it would be. And final one on the higher spend categories here is restaurants. Way under in terms of what we thought we would be spending on food, probably because Laos has been very cheap in terms of eating out, and because we've loved eating in the night markets and the local street vendors in Laos, which have given us great food at rock bottom prices. So way underspent on our food so far. Also with the food spend, we've benefited from a lot of the hotels having breakfast included, and quite often when we have the breakfast included, we don't bother with lunch, and so we end up just having a free breakfast in effect and then dinner that evening. So again, really has reduced our spend on food. Moving on to the other categories, some of the notable points from the lower spend categories. Sightseeing attractions have generally been much cheaper than we thought they would be, or free, particularly in Laos. So again, that's really reduced our spend. Drinks, we haven't drunk nearly as much alcohol as we have on previous trips. I don't know what that says. And generally we've just had a beer or two when we have had a drink, rather than cocktails or more expensive drinks. And we are starting to miss wine, so we might lash out on a bottle of wine at some point soon. But otherwise our spend on drinks has been much lower than we thought it might be. And in terms of shopping, again, just a few t-shirts here and there, a couple of electrical bits and pieces where we've needed to get a new charger or a new cable. We have bought one picture and then some other odds and ends. So again, things generally very cheap to replace should you need to. So where does all of that leave us overall? Well, our spend today is £4,645. But by the time you pro-rata the flights and the other hire items that I've spread across the whole trip, we've spent to date 3,266. So over the days to date, that means we've spent £93 a day, and the budget allows for about £119 a day. So at the moment we're about £900 under. But we have done the cheaper part of the trip, I think, with Laos. I think Cambodia will be a bit more expensive, and then back in Thailand will be slightly more expensive as well. So I think we've done the cheaper bit, but we're looking good at the moment. The app we're using to track the spend is Travel Spend. It's very easy, very straightforward to use. I'm just using the basic version, so free as well. You can pay for a premium version, which allows you to store previous trips and also allows you to pick your own categories. But to be honest, I've found that the categories it gives is a wide enough variety to split your spend into enough different categories to track. So seems to work well for us at the moment, just on the basic model, and as I say, very easy to use.
So what would our advice be to people coming to Southeast Asia as we've done? I think the first one would be to listen to your wife and bring US dollars. Callum and I had a discussion before we came. He was adamant we didn't need them. We did need them. We needed them for our Cambodian visas, and it was a lot of stress for no good reason. So definitely bring US dollars. The second one would be if you're a man or a woman of a certain age and you need glasses to see things close up, then watch those zeros when you're dealing with both the Cambodian and the Lao kip. It's really difficult to make sure you're giving the right change if you're squinting and looking at them. So look at them carefully, put your glasses on. The third thing would be to make sure that you eat local. We've had a few times when we've just craved a burger or a pizza, and it has cost quite a lot more. So if you can stick to eating your lok lak or your pad thai, then you will save a lot of money. You can also save a lot of money by using Bolt if you're in Thailand, or Grab, though Bolt is definitely cheaper, and using the Pass app in Cambodia saved us a lot of hassle around Phnom Penh, dealing with where you're going to go and also how much. So really important to download those before you come out. And the last thing you really should do is, when you're booking a hotel, check the reviews for who actually wrote the reviews. Quite a few of them have been written by guides, and they're the ones that we've learnt to really look out for and to discount straight away. So there are our top tips. Let us know if you've got some that we've missed or we should be looking out for.
Finally, I thought we'd have a quick review of the kit we brought with us and what's working well and what's not over the first few weeks. The first thing that we've used since we started travelling, so they're on their fourth trip, was the Osprey backpacks. So we've both got the large Osprey backpacks, and Jan's came with a smaller one, and they've been as good as ever. Just like the way they open up like suitcases, but obviously carry as backpacks, so still working really well. I'm really pleased with the backpacks. The other one that we bought for this trip was the water to go bottles. In theory you can fill them up from rivers, streams, puddles even. We haven't been that brave yet. We filled them up from tap water regularly and caused us no issues at all, and they've got the little sensor on them that tells you when the filter's starting to run out, so it gives you a warning when they're about due to be replaced. So they're working well. The toiletry bags we bought have been really great. I know it's a small thing, but just the fact you can hang them up and access all your stuff even in places where it's a small bathroom just makes it really easy to use. Linked to that, the Kinkind products, so we had a shampoo conditioner bars. They've been really good again. We used them in South America and worked really well here as well. In terms of things we got wrong, given the number of temples Jan goes to, she should have known to bring enough t-shirts that cover her shoulders, but didn't, so we've had to buy a couple more t-shirts, which is not a problem over here at £2 a shirt. We did bring coats with us. We thought it might be cold when we went up to the north of Laos. It proved it wasn't, so we've been carrying those around the whole time for no good reason. And we decided when we decided to do the vlogs that we weren't going to spend a fortune on it, so I'm just using a phone. We're using all free software. The only thing I bought was a couple of cheap microphones, and you get what you pay for to a degree. So one didn't work straight away, and the other one's a bit intermittent. So that was probably a poor purchase, and maybe worth buying a slightly better mic. But apart from that, all the other kit's going well, and we've got everything we need. So there you go.